last couple of questions. Okay, so then we go to the hiring the chainsaw question. Now, one thing that's really important when you're doing linear equation stuff is you've got to think about what information you're given. In the previous question, I told you what the gradient and the y-intercept were, and that's one way you can figure out what a linear equation is. In this question, I'm not doing that, but I'm telling you something else. You all know, and in fact in this test on several occasions, like up in the question at the top of the page, you've had to look at two coordinates on a graph and then work out the equation. Now, what I'm giving you in this question is two coordinates, $100 for 3 hours, $175 for 6 hours. So these are coordinates that you could write, so probably, in fact, pretty much always the time will be the x value and the cost will be the y value. I'm struggling to think of any examples where it would be different to that. So when you've got your two coordinates, you just go through the same steps that you've gone through several times before. So we've got 3, 100 and 6, 175. Now, working out your gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it's 175 minus 100 over 6 minus 3. So it's 75 over 3, which equals 25. So the gradient is 25. Then we're going to write out our equation, but substitute the values in that we know. So I'm going to pick an x and a y value from one of my coordinates here, and I've worked out the gradient. So when y is 100, so this is 25 times 3 plus c. 100 equals 75 plus c, so c equals 25. It is just a coincidence that your c value and your m value are the same. There are lots of equations where that can be the case. It doesn't really mean anything special. But you've got to write down the answer as an equation. I haven't actually specified any variables there, so you could just write something like, any pronumerals. So I haven't said use c for cost or anything like that. So look, if you wrote down something like c equals 25x plus 25, I can't really fault that at all. If you said something like c equals 25t plus 25, that is also fine in a case like this where I haven't really been specific. Okay, next question. You've got to use your equation, and I've told you that it costs me $225. Now, and you've got to figure out how many hours I hired the chainsaw for. So all you have to do is put the cost value that I've given you into that equation. So 225 equals 25t plus 25. Then you're going to solve this. Now, you could do that on your calculator using the solve function. That would be fine. Or to do it the long way, take the 25 off both sides, so we end up with 25t equals 225 minus 25 is going to be 200. T is going to be 200 over 25, which equals 8. So it's 8 hours. Now again, got to write this as a question. So to hire the chainsaw, for 8 hours costs $225 or something along those lines. And the very last question is a simultaneous equations question. Now, it's a simultaneous equations question where you are sketching the graphs. Okay, it says sketch the graphs. Two ways you can do it. Do it on your CAS calculator. But the only thing is, if you're going to use the graphing screen, everything must be in the y equals mx plus c form. So you would need to use the solve function first and then put those equations into the graph screen. Now, the graph screen will tell you where the lines cross each other, you probably need to just graph one equation at a time, and it will also tell you the y-intercept and what it calls the root, which is the x-intercept, and then you can sketch it. However, these are pretty easy, and I think you should be able to work these out on paper quite easily as well. So 4x plus 5y equals 20. So this is in the x and y intercept form. So to find the y-intercept, we let x equal 0. So 4 times 0 plus 5y equals 20. If 5y equals 20, y equals 4. Okay, to find the x-intercept, let y equal 0. So 4x plus 5 times 0 equals 20. If 4x equals 20, then x equals 5. Now, I'm going to sketch this first graph here because the other graph is in the gradient intercept form, and so you pretty much need to sketch. You can start sketching with those straight away. Okay, I'm going to put y equals 4 about there, and x equals 5 I'm going to put about there. Then I'm going to neatly draw my line through that. You should really bring a ruler to maths when we're doing anything involving sketching. Okay, y equals 2x plus 2. Now, this is in gradient intercept form, so my first point is at 2. Now I know that I've got a gradient of 2, so I'm going to go across 1 and up 2. Now 1 is going to be about there. I'm going to go across there and up there. If I've gone across 1 and up 2, I'm going to be up at 4 on the y-axis. So my next point is going to be at 1 and 4. When I sketch through there, now look, this would be a lot easier on squared paper to do it accurately, but I think that my point of intersection is going to be halfway between 0 and 1 on the x-axis, so it's going to be at a half, and it looks like it's halfway between 3 and 4 on the y-axis, so I think it's going to be about 3.5. Look, I'm going to accept answers from you that are reasonably close to that, as long as you're showing me that you can sketch properly. This stuff is easy to do properly on graph paper. It's a little bit harder to do in your books. Okay, so that is all the short answer questions as well.